Welcome to this very special episode of The Disruptor. We're breaking from format today because usually we have these conversations face to face, get a sense of what our disruptor is doing, we're in their space. But we're breaking from format because this is a very, very special guest that we're talking today. Yes, this is a special which is celebrating women. You're seeing this on the occasion of Women's Day. And today's guest on the show is a third generation entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a national level badminton player, a mother, and a true blue disruptor. She has spearheaded the company's foray into green mobility solutions, focusing on electric vehicles, and has brought back a much loved brand, synonymous really in India with mobility in a new avatar. We're speaking with Sulajja Firodia Motwani, founder and CEO of Kinetic Green and Vice Chairperson CII National Committee on Auto Components on the show today. Thank you so much, Ms. Motwani, for your time. We're truly grateful.
Great pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So, let's start at the beginning. We love to start these conversations with the journey, and a lot of your journey has been captured in formal interviews or maybe on social media online, but I want you to start describing what your journey has been. Was it always clear that you're going to be an entrepreneur and in this space because you come from a family with that legacy?
I would say for me, it was clear, and not because it was a family expectation. I think I grew up with loving business. I grew up with loving Kinetic. I grew up with, idealizing my grandfather and my father, being part of the family discussions very early on. And for me, it just seemed like a natural fit. And growing up, it was my dream to take the Kinetic legacy ahead, to be part of business. And it just came naturally to me, I think. So it was natural, not because I'm from the family, but it just fit. Personally, it just fit. I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. It's not necessarily the natural choice in business families for girls in the family to go ahead and take a big entrepreneurial role. Was there ever a conversation, a discussion, or a debate for you, or was it something that just flowed naturally?
So, when I look back, I feel that I owe a lot of this to my family, my grandparents and my parents. I think they saw a spark in me, a spark of energy, dynamism, courage. I was always very sporty, and I was always took part in leadership activities. Like I was part of ISEC, I was the head girl, and many other things. And I think they honed that quality, and they gave me the right encouragement, saying that, great going. And my grandfather would take me to his office when I was like 6 7 year old, and I would doodle on his office walls, and he would show people that this my granddaughter has done this. And now when I look back, I think it may be by design that he saw that interest in me, and he kind of let me experience it. Then I also feel that they gave me a lot of exposure. We were never differentiated between that you're a daughter and the son has a different treatment. I went to the US to study. I took part in badminton tournaments. I chose my career. I worked over there. I came back. I kind of naturally, went into Kinetic, worked in different areas. So I think my family gave me the platform, and they gave me the encouragement and the exposure. And without, making it very obvious, just kind of softly and in a very loving way. And I think that's been a great part of why I could, feel very empowered to take these decisions.
So there was never any sense that, okay, the brother, and you and your brother have also worked together, now you're running your own separate businesses. There was never any sense that he is, or the boy is the rightful torch bearer to go ahead. And that's very interesting to hear, because that's not typical of all business families.
Yeah, I think there was never any such distinction. And my sisters, for example, didn't choose to join the business. So there was never any expectation or compulsion either. But I think for me, I was given the opportunity, and I made the most of it. And I also kind of, added to it. And I think I got the right encouragement. And of course, my brother is much younger than me, and he's very dear to me. I support him wholeheartedly. So we work really well as siblings, and we help each other. And I think we both are passionate about the values of our family, of our business, and we're taking it ahead in our own ways.
Right now, as a third generation entrepreneur, I'm keen to know what you think are the big challenges for you, because it's Kinetic Green is in a very interesting space. It's futuristic. It's also very quickly becoming a crowded space. Everyone wants to be in this space. It's an opportunity that has been recognized by more than one large player. How are you navigating that landscape right now? Tell us about what the biggest push is currently.
So as you rightly said, we've been one of the pioneering companies in this space. We started our EV journey when it was not fashionable to be an EV company. Today, of course, as you said, everybody is jumped onto the bandwagon, but there were more non-believers than believers when Kinetic Green began its journey. So we feel very proud that we've been able to contribute to this sector in creating that conviction in the minds of people and the society and the other stakeholders, in working closely with the government on the policy framework, in investing in Make in India for EVs much before, it became something which was adopted by everybody. So very happy to have had that opportunity to be doing something innovative, trailblazing, pioneering. And I feel that now as the sector is growing, I feel it's a great time for players like us. Because now we see that there is going to be a large scale. The automobile market in India is very large. As you know, we are the world's second largest two-wheeler market. We are the world's largest three-wheeler market, and these are going electric rapidly, so you don't have to create new market. There is a disruption that's happening. It's like it took India 75 years for everyone to have landlines. Remember how we used to wait for STD calls and there were phone booths, and then within 5 years everybody had a mobile. So all the people using landlines or telephones chose the new technology. And I think something similar is now happening, that there is a large automobile market. We're the world's third largest overall automobile market, and we're a large economy. And now people are choosing the new technology, and especially in the spaces we are in, which is two-wheelers and three-wheelers. It's rapidly going electric. So I think it's now a large, eminently scalable opportunity. So that's one thing I feel that, the time has come to really gain the momentum for everybody, including, of course, Kinetic Green. And we are very well positioned compared to most others. We've been there for last many years. We have the products, the engineering, the technology, of course, the brand, the distribution network, the manufacturing capacity. And we've also gone through the learnings. Every new technology has its own nuances, its own specific I would say, ways to deploy, the ways to use, and we have gone through that learning cycle. So we feel very well equipped to ride the wave, the positive momentum. And I think in a lot of unique ways, we are very unique. In a lot of ways, we are a very pedigreed automotive player. Kinetic as a great legacy in automobile business. I ran the ICE business also for the group for many years. We have a wonderful brand. On the other hand, we are a pure play passionate EV company.
Yeah.
That we have the focus. We don't have to think about what is our bread and butter. It's EV. It's purely EV. So we are
So,
extremely
no,
focused.
so do you think that's an advantage or a disadvantage? And the reason I ask is, and you're right, you have the pedigree, you've been in this as a starter, but when that disruptive wave comes in, it's not very clear who's going to be standing in the first, second, third position once it settles. It's still in that phase of adoption in the EV space. And we see a fight every month on market share, for example, when we look at the Vahan data, all kinds of claims. How are you navigating that?
So I think there is a large opportunity ahead, and it's still very early days. I think the market is changing rapidly. I mean, the players who were there 3 to 4 years ago, many of them came as assemblers. People started mushrooming in small formats, and they thought that they could import, kits and sell EVs. That has all changed now. I think now EV is going mainstream. Technology has evolved, regulation has come. Customers are looking for well-performing EVs with good service, quality, spare part, warranty, all of the support. So we are kind of getting into the belly of the market now. It's no longer just on the fringe, a niche segment. And I think that's where we are very well positioned as a pedigreed player, as having the right experience to give the best products, the best technology, the best quality, best service. Be there for players as long-term, support. They have the reliability in the brand. But on the other hand, as you rightly were saying, if we were just a division of an ICE company, then the amount of focus and the amount of passion that's required to build this business would probably be diluted. My R&D chief, for example, comes from a very large, ex-large ICE group. And he told me that, when we used to have presentations, all the other products would get reviewed and EV would come at the end. But it was a very small part of the business. And people would say, oh, wow, wow, very good, and you're doing a great job, See you next time. Whereas in Kinetic Green, we are breathing EV, we are loving it, we are living it, we are passionate about it. And I think that's where we have best of both worlds.
Yeah.
To be a degree player who knows what they're doing, who are here for the long term, and at the same time being a passionate, pure play EV lover. I think that's what makes our business model and our company very potent and very exciting.
Yeah, so you've obviously not taken any of your competitors' names, but allow me to contextualize, because you've spoken about companies which may have attracted customer attention, but then question about after sales servicing, that pedigree come in. Then you've talked about companies where electric vehicles are a division of a larger player. So if I look at some competitors out there, whether it's an Ola, a Bajaj, a TVS also, how do you see these giants on the scale? Because now, forget about division, everyone is coming into the space. Everyone's understanding that this is the future, this is the space to go.
Yeah. So I think it's good that people are coming into EV, because that means that the customers will get confidence that now you have EVs in the mainstream, that I can have multiple EV options. I know that service will be there. I think it's a long-term technology. And that's where we will go from 7, 8% EV to 30, 40% EV. When they see that good companies are in the market, it's no longer just, small assemblers, unknown names. So I think it's very good for the space that serious competition, serious players, pedigreed players like us and some of the other names you took are in the market. I think it's very good for EV sector. And so I see that, there is going to be a large opportunity and a place for everybody. As you know, automobile is not a one player takes all game. If you look at even petrol or diesel or ICE, there are multiple players in multiple segments. Somebody is very strong in SUVs, not so strong in passenger vehicles. Somebody is strong in small cars, not so strong in premium cars. So if you look at two-wheelers, someone's dominating premium motorcycles but doesn't have a big share in entry motorcycles. Somebody's good in scooters. So different players will identify their segments, specialize in the technology, specialize in that product segment, and have a space in the market. It's not a one player takes all. Positioning, segmentation, technology, leadership. I think it will all evolve. And my dream is that 5 years from now, in 2030, we should see more than 50% two-wheelers electric and more than 75% three-wheelers as electric. And that's when we would have reduced the pollution, we would have reduced transport costs for our people, we've created millions of green livelihoods, and truly India can become not just a consumer, but also producer of EVs for the world. I think that's where really we should be headed.
So what is the USP of what you are bringing to the table, if I may ask? Because it's an interesting space. Forget the fact that it's very male dominated, which is also, I find this conversation so interesting. The auto sector overall at the leadership position is very male dominated, and it's fueled a lot of the conversation, commentary is fueled with that kind of energy. So how do you deal with that? And when you see this landscape evolving, what is the USP that your product is bringing to the table? I know eLuna has made a comeback, and it's an interesting take on a very well-known brand in a new avatar. Is that going to be the winning point?
Okay, so you've asked multiple questions in one question, but let me tell you that our vision, our dream is that we want to bring green mobility to the masses and not just the classes. I think that in India, there is a very large market, not just at the tip of the pyramid, the software professionals or the college students, but there is a huge market in the middle class, lower middle class, in the tier 2, tier 3 towns. Today, we know that India has Har Ghar Bijli. That means electricity is available everywhere. A fuel pump may not be available in a village, but electricity is. And as we know that EV brings huge savings to the customer, almost 100% fuel cost is gone and hardly a very small fraction of it is the charging cost. So I think that EVs can also bring great affordable transportation to our society. People who could not earlier afford, a vehicle, apna gadi, electric will enable that again. And again, that's where eLuna comes in. Today, if you have to buy any petrol scooter or motorcycle, it costs you about 3,000 rupees EMI per month and 3 to 4,000 rupees in fuel cost.
Yeah.
The total cost of owning your own apna gadi is 7,000 rupees a month. Now, a large part of India, more than half Indians, earn between 15 to 25,000 rupees a month. They can't afford to spend 7,000 rupees on for transport. They have to pay for the necessities, a roti, kapda, makan, children's school fees. So they are going today also by bus, by cycle, by shared auto. And if you look at a product like eLuna, the EMI for eLuna is just 2,000 rupees a month, and the petrol cost is zero. So less than 2,500 a month, which is what somebody would spend on bus or shared auto, we can give them their own apna gadi. So I think that's the power of electric. And I think my dream is that every home in India should have an electric vehicle. And we would like to democratize e-mobility. And we are working therefore on engineering very strong advanced EV platforms, both in two and three wheelers, which are well engineered for the long, well, position in terms of the value so that the customers feel confident to own an EV and they're able to really realize the benefits in terms of the savings as well. And the fact that Kinetic is a very respected and reliable brand, they know that, okay, this company will be there with me in this journey. So I think our dream is to be in every home and to democratize e-mobility. And that's where we are focusing, not just at the top in the 20 cities, but in B and C towns. Today we have 700 dealers, out of which 70% dealers are in tier 2, tier 3 towns. So that's really what we're doing differently compared to a startup who's bringing an exciting electric scooter or motorcycle, but for 2 lakh rupees. Now that's lovely to showcase as a pilot. But if you want to sell vehicles in millions, then you have to be able to offer good value and long-term durability and affordability to the masses.
So,
That's really what
so
it
a
is.
lot of, obviously, a very subtle message there. Do you think that the startups are not going to make it to the end of this race? It's the legacy players, where, who have that automotive and that engineering legacy. Why can't new players come in and disrupt the market as well?
Well, certainly, I think EVs will bring in innovation and different models will evolve, right? I mean, everybody doesn't have to be a large company. You can be a small premium company offering a specific service. Even if you look at cars today, you have cars, the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis in the market, along with the very affordable vehicles. So I think not everybody's playing the scale game, so different people may evolve different models. But I do believe that time has come for serious players. That means that it is no longer something where you can just assemble something, create one product and say that I've become an EV company and I'm going to be, here to stay. You have to be able to engineer, you have to be able to do strong EV R&D, you have to be able to look at supply chain, reliable products, service, spare part, warranty, and continuously re-engineer your products as well to meet the growing regulation, the changing customer preference. So definitely companies who invest in good R&D and engineering are the ones who will now, be able to be part of the mainstream EV. But that doesn't mean that innovative, startups who come with something very unique cannot be. They may have a different model, they may have a different way to approach the market, but you have to make a good, long-lasting, advanced, reliable product. That's the message I would like to give.
In terms of policy framework and EV adoption, what do you think are the biggest challenges right now? And maybe this is more for passenger vehicles and two-wheelers, but charging stations, battery life, all of these were still somehow at the stage where these hiccups matter. Not as much as few years ago, but they've not been ironed out completely. What do you see as the biggest challenges?
So first of all, let me say that in government of India actually has been very forthcoming and very proactive about the green transition, about e-mobility. And they've been clear from the beginning that India should not miss the bus, if I can use the word. When some disruptive technologies came like solar energy, semiconductors, and even to a large extent, some of the other trends like smartphones, um, India kind of did not take the leadership role, and we became consumers of the technology developed somewhere around the world. We could not build the scale. We could not become suppliers to the world. We became, buyers from the other countries. So I think the vision in India has been that India should lead e-mobility. It should create a strong market domestically and also create ability to become a supplier of EV technology to the world. So I think that's been a focus. The government also very rightly spoke to us, of course, as stakeholders, and decided that we are not going to follow the West in electric transition. Earlier when you thought about electric, you thought about Tesla. It was all about electric cars. But I think in India, it's not about the cars. It's been the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers
Yeah,
and the bus,
yeah,
which are the mass transport products, whether it's personal or urban transportation, that are driving this electrification. It also makes sense because these are all intracity products. So a two-wheeler will be running within a city, so will a three-wheeler be. You don't need to worry about creating a charging infrastructure on the highways in order to put millions of vehicles on the road. People are charging their two-wheelers at home like they charge their mobile phones. So I think therefore, because we are a large market for these products, because these are used by our common man, the large part of the population, because our infracity not requiring a large charging infrastructure, I think the government has rightly supported rapid electrification of two-wheelers and three-wheelers and buses, which will also benefit our society in terms of saving transport costs and pollution in our cities. They have not focused on electrification of cars in the first phase.
yeah.
So I believe that in the next 5 years, we will see rapid movement in these segments. And in parallel, some of the areas which you mentioned, the charging infrastructure on the highways, and other things will get built so that in the next phase of electrification, we will see electric cars also becoming more and more popular. Today, electric cars are being bought, but more as a second vehicle in the family, or more as a premium EV or a taxi. But for electric cars to become the primary mode of transport, I think charging infrastructure is something that people are looking forward to, which I think will get built over the next 5 years. But for two and three wheelers, I think the time has come.
Yeah, yeah. And since you brought up Tesla, and that's something that everyone's talking about right now, wanted to know if you have any views on the impact Tesla will make once it's in India, and also the conversation right now on India reducing its tariff structure on imported vehicles and components, etc. Because that is an immediate threat to domestic players, isn't it?
So here also, I believe that having Tesla come to India possibly is more of a prestige, story because they've been a pioneer in the electric car space. But I do believe that there is a market for every kind of product and every kind of car, right? If you see even today, you have the domestic players like Mahindra, Tata, and then you have the mass market players like Maruti and Hyundai and others also taking a large part of the market, while you have the premium car players as well. So I think even if Tesla came to India, they're not going to be the only player. I think the market will be segmented. There will be other companies developing products for different segments at different price points. So I think if Tesla comes, it's a great thing. It'll only create more excitement about electric vehicles. But finally, I think it's a large market and different players will have their own strategies, and everybody will be able to find their own focus area.
And in terms of if there's a lowering of tariffs, impact on domestic industry, including players like yourself?
Also, the tariff, the new scheme that has been brought by the government is specifically for four-wheelers.
Yeah.
There is a very strong PMP guideline based manufacturing program in place for other segments, two-wheeler, three-wheeler cars, and there is a stable duty structure. So that I don't think is a threat or there's been no change there. And we would in fact like to see more and more support to make in India so that, the local component companies actually come forward and make investments. And then, as I said before, we'll become a producer
Yeah.
and not just consumer of, EVs. But coming to the car segment, I think even the new policy actually, there is a reduction of tariffs upfront, but it does necessitate the new players to invest in the capacity locally. They are supposed to bring in whatever benefit they have got, they're supposed to bring it that back in form of investment, creating jobs, bringing new technology. So in the end, it will become a win-win, for the country.
Okay.
So yeah.
We've spoken about the business, we've spoken about the landscape, but the few minutes that we have left in this conversation, I want to speak about you and your experiences. And I know sometimes this seems, why are we talking about it? It seems so normal, but the fact is that it's challenging and something that people like you do with aplomb. You're handling a roaring business, family, kids. I read somewhere that you decided to go back to work just 4 days after having your child. Tell me about that part and that balance. Is that something that you have to think a lot about? How do you manage that?
So, Tamanna, I love what I do. I love, being part of the entrepreneurship culture that my family has so proudly and so wonderfully created. I love the brand that we represent. I love what I'm doing in the EV space. I mean, I can't wait to wake up in the morning and come to office. And I have so many, ideas about how we can take this sector ahead, how can take the company. So it's very exciting. I love what I do, first of all. So as far as work goes, the fire is from within. And nobody asked me to work hard. Nobody asked me to be part of business. It's just my own love, ambition, passion. I think it comes from the sense of purpose that I have to take ahead the family legacy and add to it. Like I tell my team, when the history of Kinetic Group will be written, the green page will belong to us. We have to be glorious. So I think that's the kind of sense of purpose, and that brings me to work, and I don't mind working long hours, and I love what I do. Similarly, I absolutely love being a mom. And so, going home, when Siddhant, I have only one son. Of course, now he's grown. But when he was small, I would go home and study with him every day. And I would,
Wow.
read him stories before we went to bed. And I love that part of my life as well. So I think for me, it's been about passion on both ends. So nothing seems like a drudgery. But of course, you have to prioritize. You have to give up many other things which you may otherwise like to do, you know, um, lunches with girlfriends, trips to the mall. Some of those things I really never could make a lot of time for, and I had to prioritize, where I spend my time. And I think that's been one of the learnings, that you have to kind of be disciplined, which came to me because of sport. In sport also you have to be disciplined. You have to ensure that you have everything kind of planned out. And then I think I also had great support from my family, my mother, my mother-in-law. They looked after my son when I was at work, when I was traveling. So I never had to worry about his well-being. So I think it's been overall support from the family and the passion from within, that has always, kept me excited. Somebody asked me, "What's your life like?" I said, "Never a dull moment." That's how I summarize my life. Something always going on. And I
Wow.
won't tell it any other way.
Wow, that's a great line to end at. Never a dull moment, I'm sure, at on the personal front and of course on the business front. Thank you so much for your time, Sulajja Firodia Motwani. There, a disruptor in every sense of the word, a founder, a mom, and we look forward to big things coming out of Kinetic Green. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be on the show, and a happy International Women's Day to everyone.
Thank you so much.